You know, after years of railing against carbon, the rants, the raves, led loudly by the quite insane green left of world politics, this targeting of coal mines and coal-fired power, which only seems to be a problem in Australia while the rest of the world is using more, we've been told to use less. Now, after a week of unbearable cold weather up the East Coast in particular, many of the same people who've tricked and gamed us to believe the world is coming to an end because of coal now say we could use coal to keep us warm. Who'd have thunk it? Imagine the outcry from the world's elites, the wealthy private jet flying prophets of doom and the mainly left-wing media Pharisees who tell us what to do, while the well-placed are milking trillions worldwide in subsidies for renewables from the rest of us. Imagine if a centre-right, occasionally conservative government was saying what the new government is now saying. Yes, post-election, coal has a role. Coal has a future. Look, I actually agree with the Albanese government. Coal isn't bad, especially if you're powerless without it. But pandering to the climate cold has restricted our domestic use of coal and gas. The previous government failed to stand up for us against this green left nonsense. And if only the previous government had actually had the metaphorical cold shower to snap them awake to the big climate change con, which is now being exposed by all this cold weather, instead of following this net zero 2050 nonsense over the economic cliff. You know, after years of calling this out for what it is and getting piled on from the left, and those heavily geared to bilk the money from the climate con, I'm actually hoping the current cold, cruel reality brings a winter of discontent, a counter-revolution, if you like, to the green left and the wealthy elites who are using them as a shill. You know, thinking Australians remain completely shocked, and I certainly feel this, how in this country, one of the wealthiest countries on earth, can so many people be suffering right now, victims of this clarion call crisis, preventing the building of coal-fired power stations, thinking about nuclear power stations. No, you can't have that. The water supply, which all projects that want to do power generation actually need, which farmers deserve to grow more food and fibre. And this climate change con has hurt so many. This climate change con has suckered in the political class, demanded and damaged, rather, the prosperity of the working class. And the climate change cult has also created just so many victims. However, the climate change emperors have no clothes. Australians now face an existential crisis. You know, we've been badly let down by the political class and the complicit left media, which has whipped fear into the young and the old. They're the most easily manipulated and the most easily hurt. This has to stop. This hurt now cuts deep into our psyche. You see, in the oft-talked about Maslow hierarchy of needs, the basic needs of an individual include food, water, warmth and rest, while our individual safety needs rely on a sense of security, you know, having a roof over your head, a home. And without our basic needs being met, we are weakened as a society. And our nation now is, of course, weakened as a result of all this green tape, the blue tape of the United Nations protocols, which has grown our bureaucratic processes. Housing shortages, driven by a failure to release more flood-free land for housing, and bureaucratic red tape, well, for the approval of everything, including the tradies to build houses. You know, life-giving water projects never occur in this country because of all those same bureaucratic processes. Australia is a just add water country, yet we don't build dams to store the water and to mitigate the floods. Banks and super funds, well, they're using your money to finance projects that actually rip down forests to install wind farms, which kill bird life, and renewable projects to turn farming lands into solar panels that are filling up the fields. Yet there's no plan on how we actually recycle those panels if they're smashed by hail or windstorms. The banks and the super funds, well, they won't finance and build coal-fired power stations, even though carbon dioxide is recyclable. It's consumed by trees. It's called the balance of nature, and we're putting this balance completely out of kilter and subsidising the wealthy woke folk to get, well, frankly, wealthier. You know, seriously, this is how civilisations end. I believe it's time to question everything and repel this climate change con.